Yes, let's do it. Happy Thursday, y'all. I'm excited to chat today about line sheets, but first, before we get into line sheets, pitching yourself to anybody, pitch competition, buyer, whatever the case may be, you want to make sure that you're prepared and you're ready to represent your brand in the correct manner. So I am going to give you a slice of a 3-minute pitch for your reference, talking a little bit about Vela and yeah, I'm excited for this. So give me a second. I will make this full screen. Definitely a Canva girly. So make sure this is full screen. Okay, Tristan, can you see everything?
Yes, I'm seeing a beautiful kind of mustard yellow color. Yes.
Perfect. All right, let's hop into it. Hi, my name is Ahriana Edwards, and I'm the proud founder and CEO of Vela Shoes. Psychologists have long since proven that if you look good, you feel good. Yet, millions of women don't have the opportunity to do either of those. And I used to be one of them. You see, my feel good moment is when I embody the lifestyle of a corporate woman. I would buy the two-piece dress suits, the accessories, everything that I could. But one thing that I could never find was shoes. I wear a size 12 shoe. And when I'm shopping for shoes to accommodate my business lifestyle, I always ran into shoe racks with little to no options. I found myself going to multiple stores, shopping online for hours, even borrowing shoes just to get through the day. And I'm not alone. Over 50 million US women struggle with finding fashionably and professional shoes in their extended shoe size. For decades, we've been unsupported by society's beauty standards and unconsidered within the retail footwear market. The global women's footwear market is a $170 billion industry, and our served market taps into just 20 billion of it. Imagine if there were more options available for working women all over the world. Retailers are missing out on this market opportunity, and millions of us women are missing out on the opportunity to show up as our best selves. After hearing all of that, it was clear. I needed to create Vela to give us availability. Vela is a corporate inspired footwear brand for women with extended shoe sizes of 9 through 14. And we help corporate women step confidently and comfortably throughout their workday and after hours. Our shoes are not only stylish and workplace appropriate, but unlike the competitors that you see here, we specialize in construction, meaning our shoes are integrated with precise sizing, comfort, and safety features to actually help your feet withstand throughout the workday. Each style is designed with pinch-free toe boxes, pressure point cushion, balance heel support, multi-surface grip. We give our big steppers balance, not blisters. We make money also through our D2C channel, where we receive an average 65% gross margin. Our shoes range anywhere between 90 to 200 bucks now, but we also engage in online marketplaces, wholesale, and retail partnerships. I'm proud to say that in just 4 years of launching, we have crossed over 500,000 in lifetime revenue, and that's mainly coming from our partners of Macy's and DSW. We've also been organically featured in major press outlets about the greatness that we're bringing to this industry, and our shoes have been worn by bosses, celebrities, and WNBA players alike. As a solo founder, I've assembled an amazing team of sharp contractors who have all the expertise in the retail industry in building consumer clothing brands. I've also spent a couple of years building through sales and marketing, working at companies like Facebook and Nestle, and helping through storytelling. I am proud to say also that my efforts has led me on the Forbes 30 Under 30 local Atlanta list in 2023. So, moving forward, our goal is simple. We want to reach more big steppers. So, we are raising a 500,000 seed round to support our scaling attributes. We want to expand our distribution partners, scale our production facilities, and then also our warehouse capabilities. This will drive us into that $1 million revenue in sales. So this investment really creates an opportunity for us to also expand into other categories like plus size socks, anklets, larger belts, purses. The opportunities are endless. We've also been doing some soul searching for any advisor who can help us in the merchandising category. So I say all this to say that at the end of the day, no matter what shoe size you wear, every woman needs a good flat or heel to carry themselves through work. If you're a woman in the audience who wears a size 9 shoe and above, know that your foot size is bold, beautiful, and classy. There are amazing shoe options for you to choose from, and you can find them all on Vela. Thank you so much, and I'm excited to answer any questions that you have.
We should be clapping, cheering, shouting from the rafters.
Woo, woo, woo.
All right. So a couple things to call out. Using the chat, how many minutes do you think it took her to get that pitch through or done, tip to tail? So I want to start by saying less is more, right? Like you want your buyers to ask questions. So you want to give them enough information that they feel confident, they understand what you do, and they want to learn more. That pitch was a total of 4 minutes. Cool. Ariana, can you share real quick? Now, we could use this
Yes.
entire class to completely like kind of go through slide by slide and ask her how she did it. Again, let's go ahead and put it in the chat. What were some of the key takeaways or things that you want to try after kind of witnessing that, things you loved about what she did?
Like going to the first page. Okay, perfect.
Cool. Awesome. So I think off the very top, she started with her personal story, right? Went into second slide. She was like, "Listen, I'm crushing at life, but shoes don't fit. The aisles are bare. Let me help this." Right? Okay, cool. So her problem isn't just her problem, it's quantified. There's lots of people with these feet who want shoes, who want to be fashionable. Come help. Cool. All right. In fact, this is how many. Yikes. So she starts then and goes into market opportunity. So it's like she validates she experienced it and then there's space to grow. Why would a buyer care about market opportunity?
Mm.
Why would a buyer care about market opportunity?
They want to know that your product's going to be sustainable. It's going to
Yep.
sell.
Part, yep.
Also, room to
What
grow. Room to
room to
grow.
grow? I love that too. Tatiana, you got it. What is it? You hit it on the head.
That'll grow their category.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you're identifying a problem that they didn't know they had, and you're going to help them grow their category. Like it's as though they are a second born child trying to get their parents' attention, right? Like they are trying to grow their category, and together with this product that's done the research, we gonna grow together. Cool. Next slide.
Yes.
And the business is going to make money. They don't make the money. The company they work for makes the money. You got to see kind of across like what does the face of this, what does this look like? So in a buyer's mind, they're like, oh, I know these people. I've met these people. This is my sister, my mother. It's me. I identify this. So human connection. We went really big, macro number. We get really small, connect, human. Cool. Great. She walks us through the solution. I love that she takes us through the interface. Like if I'm D2C, if I'm buying it right now, this is what I look like, this is what I experience. Great. Notice she's also plugging in the corner, women owned, just in case you had any questions. She's got that small business certification. She talked about the competitive advantage. She didn't name any of these people. She didn't outright say Amazon's coming for me. But what she did say is why she's better. This is value proposition. She bolded it on the left, she said it on the right. Cool. Then she actually, okay, I've told you competitors in the space. Let me show you why and how we're different. We're taking user feedback. This is what it looks like on your feet. And if you're a person who wears 9 and above sizes, those shoes aren't cute. They're not, they're like orthopedic, right? And so you
Yes.
can see how she's like actually creating a resource for people much like her. Great. We keep going through it. You see tons of plays on words. Vela, like a Vela, right? Got it. Bull. Sorry. Keep going. Again, we're still going through. Now we're talking business model because a retailer doesn't want to be the first contract of yes. They want to know that you've got some traction. They want to see that. So what she's done here
Ooh.
is, oh, this is what it looks like on Macy's. This is what it looks like. Like you can find my products through me, through these people. Also notice super smart move that you probably couldn't catch unless I call it out right now. All of these are different shoes. So you can see Macy has a different assortment than her website that has a different assortment, right? So what she's saying to a buyer is like you can have your customer is going to have a unique experience on your website with my product. I'm not just copy pasting across the board. I really thought about you. Here, again, they love validation that it's you like that we're actually selling to, and that some recognizable names. That means she's in relationship. We can see the revenue. Great. We love knowing. Okay, so if and when you have press, that usually means kind of you have a following. You have people that are following you, your story, your journey. Those evangelists is probably what I would call them, convert to customers in the storefront. So by her placing this here, it's like, you're not just betting on my shoes, you're betting on me and the company I created. And like you and my audience of all these people are going to shop here. So credibility. Cool. Love, again, it's out in the wild. Look at all these people looking amazing and in the shoes. Wonderful. I love to, she's built a team to support her. She's not like, they might not all be getting paychecks like her advisor, but she's got a group of people that are advocating for the product. Often when you're working with like buyers, yeah, you're great, but what happens if you get sick? What happens if you get a flight canceled and you were on a trip to Bermuda? Who's going to run the company? So having these like logos, these names, these affiliations gives confidence in the product. Cool. Ask. So there was a question, do you make an ask for money in a buyer pitch? No, not usually. The ask would be like, probably more about, I would pivot the ask to be like, why are you a good product for the store? So your ask would be like, place me in your store today and this is why, right? But this
Yeah.
is an example of some of you are looking for capital.
Yeah, I will also just add to the ask too. If you were to do business with that retailer, okay, where? Tell them I want to be in the Southeast Coast. Our main three high points of business is New York, Atlanta. Do you have this store? Like, tell them exactly where you want to be. That is always the ask that I'm telling them initially.
Right.
Perfect. And then like sweeten it off with the story.
I call this the full circle moment. So if at the beginning of your pitch, and this could be a past life of mine, I was in kind of the performance space. So if you open with a problem and you come back and you close that problem, if you say these shoes are not available, together we make these, it's really gratifying for audience. So if you open with narrative, problem, stat, on the end, you give us this like kumbaya moment where you are the solver of said problem with the buyer. It's like a wham bam, thank you, ma'am. It's so good. And then she goes into her contact information and her QR code and come find me. And now we can start talking about things like velocity, capacity, whatever the itties, if you will, the financials. She also snuck in like the cost per unit. So she got some of those questions answered. So then they can kind of go a little bit deeper in Q&A. Okay, so I wanted to kind of pull out the brains behind the beauty in this. And then I'm going to set a timer right now, either populating in the, let's start there. Populate in the chat your questions or raise a hand, and I'll let you kind of come off mute and ask Ahriana directly.
I think we already have a question. Kwamina.
Kwamina.
I'm gonna get it right. I'm gonna get it right.
Well, phenomenal presentation, Ahriana. I was just curious to know if you were going to potentially go into like the brick and mortar space and step outside of like not completely step outside of pitching to buyers, but just kind of having a brick and mortar. I was just curious to know if you were you saw that in the future.
Yeah, I do see that in the future, but I think I'm wanting to focus a little bit more on the profitability aspect. As I think about my customer, they are not necessarily going into stores as much. Retailers kind of let them down on larger sizes being in stores, so a lot of them are already online. And so I'm like, let me meet my customers exactly where they are online. And then as I'm pitching to buyers, I'm giving them, like Macy's, the first shot at, you can have this brick and mortar. You could be the owner, leader of this space if we collaborate together. But in the future, for sure, I think I want to kind of get a little bit more distribution, do that well, and then start to have like a brick and mortar coming down the line. Yeah.
Awesome. Carl.
I kind of have two questions, but they're really quick. Number one, did you have a framework or a template to follow for your presentation? And then number two, how did you know your target audience was not shopping in stores? Like, did you have any data to validate that?
Yeah, great questions. Yes, I utilized for the order of the pitch. There's like, oh my gosh, I know Tristan we were talking about this like template. It's like a universal template out there. I don't know if it's like Y Combinator or what. But each slide, like I think it's like a rule of like 10 to 12 slides. Each one, it definitely has to have, thank you, Tristan, it's definitely in a classroom, problem, story, solution. So it was me kind of trying to figure out what was the flow of my story first, what was important to tell them first, and reorganizing though the order of exactly what I had presented. So that's kind of how I was thinking about the structure. I created all of those slides, the necessary, the problem, showing them the solution. But as I was telling my story, I was like, they kind of need to hear the statistics first. They kind of need to grab them in and feel this pain if somebody doesn't have a larger shoe size. So that's how I was thinking from it on that end. And then the second question, repeat that one more time.
Yep. So I was just wondering, you said that you you knew that your customer target audience was not in stores because they've been let down. Did you have like any data to support kind of like that verification or that conclusion?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I had like personal data. So when I was first starting the company, I did a survey over 100 women, and found that they were when they were shopping online. And then if they were shopping at a store, if they were going in brick and mortar, it would be at like a department store where they feel like they could have gotten all of the options available instead of like super focused. So I conducted that research on behalf of Vela. Also, my personal experience as well. Like I've been trying to go in stores for years, family of big steppers. We could not find anything in stores. So yeah, that's kind of how I approached it. And then Macy's was the first next step because Macy's was like a department store that individuals, if they were to shop, they would go to first. So that was a strategic part
Gotcha.
of it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Of course.
All right. Cat a chat.
Loved your presentation. I mean, the way it was just story driven and it just told everything, every major point without being bogged down was amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
And I saw you went to Fayetteville State too. My mom and my sister went to Fayetteville State, by the way. So just
Oh, yes. Oh, we got to catch up. Homecoming's coming up.
yeah. I wanted to know if you guys had like a investor pitch versus a buyer pitch, do's and don'ts type of thing, because I can see
Yes.
yours and I'm like, oh, it's there's a slight difference, but then it's very similar. And I want to make sure
Yes.
I don't have too much of my investor stuff in my buyer stuff, because that's all we have is investor pitch decks. And I'm like,
Yes.
never thought about the buyer pitch deck. Never thought about it like that. So if you guys have something that you
Definitely.
can use,
Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely have a buyer pitch separately from investor deck. And it's really just because the audience wants different stuff. Like investors are trying to look at profitability. Is this an investable company? So I'm hitting them with the numbers. I'm hitting them with the market opportunity and telling them, hey, we can expand it to this category because that will make more revenue. I'm talking a little bit, I'm educating a little bit more on the investor standpoint, because sometimes your investor may not actually be in your industry, but buyers, by the time you get to pitching to them, they're already doing their research. Like they already have the data, the networks to know what categories are sparking off. And so by the time they come and talk to you, you're really just validating everything that they're saying, and also connecting how the buyer's mission, we're going to talk about this in line sheets, but how the buyer's mission is essentially connecting with yours. Like buyers, they can talk to you yearly, but it's like, why you, why now? So I'm telling them now is the time to hit the market, 50 million now, no other person is on this, let's hop on it. So it's a little bit more of an urgency factor for buyers, and also giving them a step into like, you are accessing my customer and I'm educating you more on my customer so you can see if it's a good fit. So different pitches. I can absolutely go over that too in office hours if you need, but always a different story to tell.
Love that. All right, so I'm going to be the bad guy here. I'm going to transition us into line sheets for today. I've been answering some questions on Ariana's behalf in the chat. I've worked
Thank
with her
you.
now for about 2 years, so some of it I'm pretty sharp on. So what I will say is Canva. She loves Canva. Canva has a free version. For those of you who are wondering how that was crafted, check out Canva. And then keep those questions coming in the chat. I'll keep answering them. We're going to move
Perfect.
into line sheet, sales sheets, best practices. And if we have any remaining time, happy to come back and talk about pitching. Cool. Thank you.
Yes.
All right,
Thank you,
jump on in.
Tristan.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, let's hop into line sheets. Okay, so we did the pitch, everything's good in that capacity. Now we're starting to talk about getting into business. What products should we kind of feature in the retailer store if we decide to go with you? So first, I know I kind of like went through this in my pitch deck, but I will say that all of these tools, all of these things that we're discussing today are very doable. I launched into retail as a solo founder, help from mentors, contractors, and all of the things. So it's very much doable with the strategies that we have here today. So I already did the pitch, but we'll go into the different sectors that we're going to be talking about today. So understanding your buyer presentation, preparing your assortment for your buyer. After that, we're diving into like actually creating impactful line sheets. What does that look like? And then once you actually give that line sheet to the buyer, what can we impress with extra supporting materials to kind of seal the deal for a yes? And then last but not least, we love best practices for just interacting with buyers. So I'm going to start with a quote. Without strategy, execution is aimless. Without execution, strategy is useless. So it's great to put together a strategy when you're talking with buyers, but if you're not able to execute, seal the deal, do the follow-ups, make it easier for the buyer to say yes, that execution part is aimless, right? When you're entering into a buyer relationship, you know your product the best. And so you have one good shot if they give you a yes on entering into retail. So you want to make sure that you are aiming for exactly where you want your product to be. So strategy is important in that capacity. And then the execution part is, okay, after we present and have done the hard part, which is presenting yourself and pitching, buyers are looking at how you're interacting with them. Are you continuing to promote your brand on social media? Are you continuing to get press? Because they're looking at you with a microscope. And so executing and the things that others may not see is very important. So one, let's dive into understanding your buyer presentation. So this goes a little bit into the question that I asked for the young lady, the Fayetteville State grad alumni. But when you're talking and bringing together a buyer presentation, before you start, you can absolutely start from your pitch deck, but you're going to look at it in a sense of these three buckets. Biggest thing is what is in it for the buyers, right? It's great to spend a couple of minutes on your story so they can understand how to position your brand, but that's not all what the buyers are looking for. The buyers have a job, and we have to remember that. Their job is to make sure that their portfolio of companies, newness that they're bringing in is driving revenue all the way upscale for them. And so how are they doing that? That's why you would have to answer these questions. So why do they need your specific product right now? What is it that is trending that you can give them that makes them say, ooh, I have a fear of missing out. I think we need to hop on this. We need to really move the needle with this brand. Because you can very well present your products and your presentation, but if you're not hitting on the point of why you need me now, I need to be launching next year, next February, then that could easily open up a conversation or a door into a not now, or maybe we can look at this later. So I'm always emphasizing that aspect of it. Why do they need your product right now? Come in with data, facts, statistics. How are your customers shopping, right? If they're reaching out to you, they are trying to get into the eyes of your customer. They are wanting to reach your type of customer. And so you have to tell them and be okay with giving them information of why now. Two, what value can you provide? Can your products, provide for them, right? What are you giving to them? For me, when I was pitching to Macy's and I'm going through the presentation, before I hop into line sheets and the product, it is, hey, Macy's, I am giving you the first starter advantage to these extended shoe size customers. They have nowhere to go currently in retail. There's no retail store that is really owning this space. And if we partner together, we can create a strong contract to really move the needle with these customers. You are missing out on this market opportunity. In a previous pitch, in the market opportunity slide, I actually put extra numbers to say, hey, we are tapping into that 20 billion. But if you, as a retail partner with us, you can tap into, out of that 20 billion, 60% of that. And that's just starting with the USA, right? So what value can you provide for one, the customers, the retailer's customers specifically, right? Giving them more options, giving them a go-to destination to shop, but also what value can you provide for the actual company, bringing in more customers. Always make sure to emphasize that because that's what they're looking for. And then number three, how can your product help them achieve their goals? I love doing research on any retailer company that I come across. So when you actually go to their like corporate website, so this is not like a Macy's.com where you're like looking at it from a consumer standpoint as if you're like shopping as a customer. No, like I'm going to Macy's corporate. I forgot the name of the website, but each retailer has a corporate site that literally lists these are our quarterly goals. These are our public finances. This is the updated 2026 mission that we're going after. And I am reading what the big focus of this retailer is, and I'm trying to figure out a way to put that into my presentation. So by the time we and Macy's started talking initially, they had a mission everyone. So that big mission was we wanted to create a like inclusive, shoppable marketplace for everybody from kids all the way to elders. So I'm like, okay. And then they started going into the diversity aspect of the customers that they want to reach out to. So when I was looking at the perfect timing, I was like, oh no, Macy's is aligned with this mission of right now, this mission of everyone. You had this goal of this. Let's bring everyone in and make this an inclusive type of deal. So before you actually get into creating your presentation, I'm always thinking, what is in it for the buyers? How or what points do I need to emphasize to position my products to their needs and preferences? And so there's also, as we kind of like go into the different type of buyers that you'll talk to, I would also say like there's different buyers essentially. So there's some that are intuitive driven buyers and some that are heavily data driven buyers. Both buyers will, kind of creep into each other's sectors. But for me and my company specifically, I have buyers that are mostly intuitive driven. I'm dealing with fashion. And so fashion is very influenced by mood, by people trends, by industry sensitivity, by what is the inspiration behind the shoe and what you're creating. So when I'm presenting to them, and I'll show you a little bit later, I'm presenting the mood board. I'm presenting this corporate summer vibe. They need to see that because they need to understand if I'm going to position you on a website and store, who am I placing you beside? What brands are speaking that same language as you in this fashion category? So there's an intuitive driven buyer where it's like my conversation might be a little bit different for them. Data-driven buyers, they want the numbers, they want the analytics. How much are you selling? What's the revenue that you've been creating? What is your return rate on customers? Like they really want to get into the nitty-gritty of the math and historical data, especially when you're talking with a data-driven buyer like this and they're asking you questions about these numbers. They're looking at you as a big opportunity. I want to see this. I know this brand has an opportunity to scale in multiple doors, but before I take that step, I need to understand where are they? Where are they? And do they have the opportunity and capacity to sell? That can make a difference from you launching in 5 doors because there will be a test period. Usually it's like when you first have that call with the retailer, you're testing a certain amount of doors, 5, 10, 20. And then once you do well there, you can kind of expand to 100 doors or whatnot. So these 2 buyers, you'll absolutely come across them, but in the center of it all is trends. If you can just tell them what the trends are of your customers. Are they eating more healthier and so your snack option is going to be better for them? Are they going outside more? They're drained by social media and the AI. Lead with those trends because they absolutely matter. And it also matters the way you present your line sheets to them. So you're probably wondering, okay, this is my first meeting with the buyer. I don't know if they're intuitive driven. I don't know if they're data driven. So what should I use? I'm always going to say, just use a collaborative mix of both. You're going to have multiple meetings with buyers before you launch into retail, right? So as you have conversations and talk with them and you're continuing to review what you're actually probably going to launch into stores, you'll start picking up on what style they would like to use. It doesn't get to about the fourth, maybe fifth meeting before they actually write a buy or write a purchase order for you. So by that time, when it comes to that fourth meeting and you're getting that PO written, you should already know how to talk their language so you can get the execution or the goal of doors or units into their stores. So again, emphasizing ultimate goal, we're really wanting to help the buyer make the best decision when placing their order, right? So you know your product more than anybody else. Yes, the buyers are coming in and they have the data, they have their background on how the category is moving. But when it comes to your specific product, it is your responsibility to be able to tell them, hey, like, I'm looking at this SKU, but I really think this bestseller right here may be the one to sell in the doors. Like, you're still kind of talking with each other and communicating because it is a partnership on you working together to make the best decision when you have the first purchase order. And so it can drive goals on both behalves. So let's dive into preparing your assortment. We always want to lead with your best sellers, core versus seasonal product. That is definitely me in the fashion kind of realm. That is, okay, core is mostly, these are our core SKUs. They're going to sell regardless of anything. So vanilla, if you have like a vanilla creamer, that's going to sell versus a seasonal product, pumpkin balance. Okay, we're talking about, November, October, when it starts to get cold, right? They want to know what options that you can give them. And also it can help them kind of create a balanced level of inventory to buy from you. We also want to optimize our SKU count to make sure that the buyers select the right one. When I am presenting to the buyers, and Tristan literally touched on it a little bit earlier, I'm not giving them everything. I'm not giving them my entire SKU count. I am, as a brand, almost curating this collection that I feel like Macy's would, or DSW, whatever retailer what collection would do better in that retailer. And so that's where you kind of have a conversation with, hey, like, is this reading correctly? Is what I'm saying kind of translating? So optimize your SKU count for that buyer and make it really personable. You also want to present your colorway, your variation options, right? How many flavors, how many colors, how many sizes, what are all the options available? Lay them all out and don't have the buyers guessing. And then quality CAD. So CADs, digital drawings, digital prototypes. I have definitely been able to get purchase orders based off of these CAD images of the shoes. And I'll show you later. And then as we were developing, I would show the retailer the samples, how it's going, and all of that in that manner. So materials checklist, let's dive into preparing your line sheet. And then we'll dive a little bit into your deck, your questions, and then your follow-up. So presenting your buyer's line sheet. Like Tristan said, I am a Canva girly, and so I definitely started there. Also, if somebody is dropping in a chat, where can I get some of these line sheets? Or templates, they will absolutely be in Campground and attached to this presentation. So don't worry about it. So last slide, we talked about those different elements of, the line sheet. So this is in Canva. And so I was pretty much, creating this for Macy's in our fall winter collection. And I'm giving them kind of a layout of exactly what I wanted to present to them, right? We always want to make sure we have the style name and the style number. So this is like number 1, Lisa Pumps. This is the SKU or, the specific UPC code for this unit. So when you're presenting this and they're asking you or telling you which shoes they want to order, they are going to probably put it in a spreadsheet or some manner and tell you exactly what they want. They probably won't just say, Lisa picture. No, they're saying, Lisa, this is the SKU count. This is how many shoes that I want to order from you, right? So you're giving them that information so they can take note. The color options absolutely have an accurate representation. So we have Lisa Pumps in black and also this gorgeous cream color, but With the retailer, we're absolutely open to exploring options with you and what your customers are buying. So this can be a customizable SKU in terms of the layout of the shoe, or even adding embellishments if needed. Always give them the option, in case they did not want that specific colorway, give them that option to say that you're going to create more. Cost structure. Okay, how much does this cost if we were to buy this from you? Always do a rule of thumb of just 50% of the MSRP, right? Which is the minimum suggested retail price. So regardless, the numbers are going to be up for negotiation based on how much the retailers are wanting to buy from you. And so I just give myself an easy call out. Hey, let's just meet at the 50%. Depending on your industry, it could be higher, it could be lower. And also depending on how many units, you might want to consider how you want to divide out that margin structure. But that is what I utilize for the cost structure. And then if there's anything else that's special about the technical specifications, the shoes fit wide, or this flavor is a little bit more spicy on the spicy chart. All of those things are helpful for the buyers to just really understand your product. And then most importantly, looking at the lead times and availability dates, right? If I'm going to place this order with you tomorrow, when is this going to get here? Like how much time do you need to make sure that that clears through? So that's how it looks in Canva. But I've also presented, buyer spreadsheets in Excel as well. So the same elements, right? We're making sure that the style name and the imagery is there. As you can see, this is a CAD image. So this is a pretty much like drawing. Our designer created a UX drawing of how the shoes will be. Make sure that is very detailed if you are going to present that to them. We want to make sure the colors are accurate. Great. We got black and red, cream. There's some options for us to collab on another color. The cost structure, which is right here. This is our MSRP. And then on the fourth bubble, we talk about the MOQ, you setting that minimum for them. Okay, 50 pairs per style minimum. You can absolutely, include this in your presentation, especially if you have went over the numbers and decided what was the most profitable. But when you're talking with the retailer, it may be even more than 50 pairs, but I'm just showing you that as an example. And then I'm always putting, okay, I'm going to pitch for net 30. Some retailers do net 60, net 90. So put that out there. It's always up for negotiation. And then, of course, lead times and availability dates. Now, if you want to get fancy, there are some retail platforms out there. They're also listed in Campground, where you can really present your product on just a little more of a fancy outlet. So you can, again, include all of those imagery elements for your reference. And I also wanted to kind of plug in, sometimes presenting line sheets can also be one-on-one if you are presenting like a one-pager. And in that case, like I have this for, a CPG, food and bev product. In terms of the only addition, it would be definitely like the flavor options that you have with them, the style name, the imagery. This goes a little bit deep into kind of like how you're organizing your case packs. So 12 count case, 4 ounce in this, all of this detail is super helpful as you're placing your buy. All right, I went through that, and I want to make sure to get through this presentation to answer any questions. But next, we're talking about the impressing with your support materials. So when I present my deck, this is an example of how it looks, actually. So I will go with the collection. This was spring, summer 2025. No, 2024, sorry. Spring, summer 2024. And so when I went through the deck, I had these key pointers in mind. For my buyer, they're intuitive driven. So I'm telling a story. Hey, this is Vela Shoes. And, I'm so excited to be presenting our, spring summer deck. These are the trends of the colors that we're seeing out in the market. This absolutely gorgeous metallic. Barbie pink was in at that time as well. And then I also went into different specifications. We have also upgraded our brand and started doing some exciting prints that we think will be great to explore and create exclusivity within your marketplace. So, and then I present a mood board as well to give them a feel, and I dive right into the products, right? So And when I'm going to each of the product, I'm talking and telling the story of the product. They need to hear these certain elements so they can understand, again, where to place you in store, online. They are inputting your brand, especially if it's online or .com. They're putting in extra keywords. They're putting in extra things to make sure that when customers search for a certain thing, your product pops up. So here I am saying, okay, this is Lisa. Lisa is an amazing, gorgeous go-to pump, kitten heel for those who need a little bit of an extra height in their shoes, but wants to remain very much professional and comfortable. She has pressure point cushion within her shoes as well, and an amazing PU material that is great to blend into any outfit from dressing it down to dressing it up. We think this will be an excellent addition. And then as we go into slide 2, I talk about black, of course, being an essential color. We think that will absolutely sell through. That is our best sellers, but we are exploring this trend color of this metallic, right? Go into this, hey, we want to do something a little bit interesting with your customers. We're starting to see that best sellers on your end are these kitten heels, and they have a type of stretch material at the top. Our last season, we sold really good with that. So we made an extra additional style with that same body, right? So we're layering these trends, we're layering these market or product innovations, and we're grouping together what people are talking about. What is our customers saying about the products? And then going along with the assortment deck so that they can figure out what to buy from you. Again, I'm going to say you are the expert. I think that was one thing I was just so surprised of. I was like, oh my gosh, like these retailers, I'm talking with them, they know everything about this product. Like, no, they literally want to ask you questions. They want to understand your product. They want to understand what best way to place them. It is a collaborative effort. And so when you are presenting these recommendations to them, they absolutely value your product expertise. You're helping them get access to a new customer. So they are looking at you as an expert to tell them how to get access to those new customers, whether this is being an assortment or this being a marketing activity, a pop-up, a launch, whatever the case within their retail store. I'm highlighting the hero products confidently, right? These are our best sellers. These are going to sell no matter what platform they're on, because at the end of the day, yes, you can introduce a seasonal, cool, trendy product, but the core best sellers are going to be the one to drive revenue for your brand regardless. And so I'm starting to see, with buyers that it's really like a 75 core and 25% trend mix in terms of the assortment that they buy from me. We definitely want to balance those buyer trends with your brand vision. Where do you see your brand, right? How do you see it scaling? Okay, I want to start in the Southeast, but eventually I want to go to California and start doing these beach campaigns. Like, walk them through your journey of how you're looking at expanding with them, and always align with the retailer because you want to be in it for the long game. So definitely, collaborate on that effort. And then also we want to, look at customers, asking for insights in that manner. And I just put an example of always just leading with those bestseller hero products. All right, we are almost wrapping it up so we can get into the questions, but best practices for buyer interactions. I am always saying, hey, make sure to clarify upfront, what are the order placement preferences and systems? What systems are you using to place the order? Are you using an EDI system? Great. What EDI system is it so that you can do your research and you can get on it as soon as possible, right? You don't want any friction, in the buyer process. You want to make it easier for the buyer to say yes. And also, are there like order placement preferences, right? Like, does the retailer like to send you an Excel spreadsheet and you confirm verbally, and then they put that purchase order into the system? Or, do they like net 30, net 90? Do they like to, there's so many options, but how do they place the order and what do they prefer that would work best with you as a partner? You want to get into their process and make it, again, easy. Are there any exclusive products and expectations and limitations, right? If we do collab on an exclusive color, an exclusive flavor, do you want to be the only brand to, carry this SKU? If not, are you okay with another retailer, carrying it? Because one thing I've ran into is I had a trendy product and I put on two retail platforms, but I had to be really specific and talk to both of them because sometimes your customer may be shopping on both retail platforms and that price friction will clash. Like there were customers saying, "Hey, like I see this product is three different prices. Is a price one price on your website versus Macy's versus DSW." And sometimes they can be in battle with each other. And so you as a brand have to be upfront and personal and saying, "Hey, these are my limitations. These are my expectations. I can't go below this price." Tell them exactly what those things are. Trend insights and seasonal forecast, right? We went over that a little bit. And then the timeline for decision making. When can I set up this next call with you? Right. Matter of fact, let's set it up on this call right now. I'm not leaving until I get this next call. I'm always doing that. And then always making sure to have healthy post meeting follow-up protocols, right? Thanking them for their time with you, sending over that line sheet presentation, the assortment, including value add follow-ups. Hey, we just got a big press article from Vogue. Just wanted to let you know about that. That is driving our revenue to X, Y, and Z. Or hey, I know you mentioned a certain element for a certain shoe on this call and you were a little bit objective of it. Our team discussed and talked about it, and we thought that this will be a great solution for you, right? Just make sure to outline the clear action items and next steps and don't leave anything on the table, right? You want to make a good impression to your buyer with whatever you have, in your Rolodex on and based off of the call with them. And then, yeah, that is it. That is line sheets. I went through a little bit. Y'all know I talk a little bit fast, but I wanted to give us some time to dive into questions while we have 10 minutes left.
We got questions oozing out from all sides of this planet. A lot is around pricing. So I'm going to go back.
Okay.
I'm going
Let's
to
go back
scroll
to
up. Sorry,
pricing.
give me a beat here to scroll up. All right. Okay, I'm going to start with Liz. Liz, you want to pop in about COGS? Cost
Yeah.
structure?
Oh yeah. So you mentioned that you would like talk to the buyer about the cost structure. You recommended like a 50% split, but then my question was, isn't that really driven by the cost of production? And how much flexibility do you build into that conversation? Maybe expecting a little bit of pricing pushback from them.
Great question. So are you asking more like how am I thinking about just clarify that question. I want to make sure to answer it.
Basically,
Yeah.
like if your price is not fixed, then how are you thinking about working with each buyer to settle on a price that you feel good about and that they
Perfect.
feel about?
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. I would, if I know pricing is very difficult, I am looking at if it is not as fixed, I'm looking at volume. So my conversation would actually transition to how much we're ordering, right? Sometimes you can approach a conversation with a buyer and saying, "Hey, like I can get costs down to $40 a pair of shoes, but my manufacturer, we have to do 1,000 units per style. Like that's what I can do, right?" And then kind of bounce back and forth with that. Uh, and sometimes you'll find that you'll win the bid on that deal and they may even order even more. It's like you kind of won't know exactly how much the buyer would want to, purchase from you until it gets to that conversation. But if you're just very, stuck on, hey, like I have tight margins and obviously do not tell any buyer what your personal margins are. That is for you and them. They just need to see the wholesale cost. But with them, you're just talking about, okay, I don't have much room. So I need to be looking at the pricing model and I need to see how many units is going to make this order make sense for me profitability wise. And if that's the case, then I need to be leading a conversation with volume instead of price per unit. So that's how I was looking at it when I needed to go to a certain capacity for me to be profitable.
And you're willing to walk away, or like have you walked away from conversations where they haven't met that minimum?
So I'm an opportunist, Liz. So first conversation, I think like for me, I haven't walked away from a deal. So for us, we are definitely below the 50% margin, but I pushed the volume aspect of it. And also I was pushing for certain like what is it? Allocations with my women-owned certification because you can kind of get benefits there. But for me, it's a work in progress. I'm in it for the long run, right? So if you as a retailer kind of feel like, hey, I need to be making this bet at this certain price point, then that's fine. But if I blow it out the water and we sell through all these units, then this needs to be a conversation. I would love to have this conversation for the future as we grow and we scale to get the prices down and, have the capacity to produce more units for you. So I'm always opening up the door like, hey, this is my first big retail. I want to be in them. Our customers are there. If I need to kind of take a step back on less margins, that's fine. But if I am able to deliver in the manner that you would like, I would want to revisit this conversation to talk more about numbers. And for the most part, I believe they'll be open to it.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, Mark's up next. I'm going to sneeze. Mark, you want to jump in with the MOQ question?
Yes. Uh-oh, Mark.
Mark fell asleep.
What I do?
Do you want to ask your MOQ question?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, so MOQs. So if we have MOQs, it's one thing. We definitely want to understand what our minimums are, but do we also need to include tiered pricing?
So tier pricing as of, well, I just want to be specific.
So for example, let's say
Yeah.
you need a minimum 50 units of Lisa pumps, but what they want to order 500, is there break tiering based on higher purchases?
Yeah, I mean, you could absolutely present that to them. I mean, I would absolutely, but for me, I have an idea of exactly how much units I want to have with this partnership. So I'm pushing and showing the numbers and the capacities that I want them to buy. Like I probably even wouldn't put 50 no, like that was an example of spreadsheet of me selling into like a boutique.
Okay.
That makes a little bit more sense. But for retailers, oh, I'm going for thousands of units. So I am starting from, the MOQ that will get me down to a good wholesale price, but I'm reaching for the higher numbers. You can give them two options, but that's always up for negotiation. So I kind of let them show their hand first on how much they want to order.
Yeah.
And then we talk about the price at hand at that point. But you can, if you absolutely feel comfortable with that, giving them that. So
But you're saying audience specific, you're going to put it in there. That makes sense.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Also say too, Mark, it's a little different for her because she's shoes. So it's Lisa in size 9 through 14 versus New Spear is one product, right? So the negotiation of because they're ultimately style, size, quantity. So there's a
Yeah.
lot more numbers at play. So it might not be a match necessarily for your product, but what I appreciate here is ultimately Ariana goes in knowing what the goal of the conversation is and kind of knowing what her tiers would need to be to get to goal. So I think that's probably,
Yeah.
regardless of the industry, that's probably the biggest takeaway.
Makes sense.
Well, Tatiana, you're up next.
Oh my gosh, I asked so many questions.
You
I don't know
did.
which one to ask.
Pick your favorite.
Yeah, so I guess I was a little bit confused on the line sheet.
Okay.
Because it's actually the first time that I've seen a line sheet, even from my Mars Wrigley days. Like we would have something we called ready to sell, and it would be like a presentation where like each new innovation item would get like almost like a 2-page self story, and then you'd have all the information. And then for me now, what I use is just like a 1-page sales sheet.
Yes.
So is that the same thing? And the reason I ask is because that CPG one where they had multiple items, that just looked crazy busy to me. So I'm like, I don't even know where to look on here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I definitely put in it just an example of like kind of like how individuals are looking at it. To answer your question, yes, you can absolutely have a part of your presentation that one pager, right? Different categories are just wanting to look at things in a different manner. It does look very busy. Like honestly, this would be something that you would kind of carry into your local, like your gas station stores or your boutiques, and then you're placing that order right then and there, or like a trade show. That's why it has all
Okay.
of those things there. But
Okay.
absolutely, like less is more, like Tristan said, and you diving into the specific products. Like I would dive into top three, okay, smokehouse barbecue, lime, peanut butter, top three, and then sending over another one pager to dive deep into that as a follow-up. So that's how I was thinking
Got
about
it.
the conversation. Yeah.
Got it. And you would also have, so I do have UPC as UPCs on mine, but that's like the recommendation too.
Hmm.
Okay, got it. And then, sorry, last question about this thing. So I have items, but then I also have displays, and I haven't figured out how to, I'm just creating the displays. I haven't figured out how to add them to my sales sheet. Would you
Okay.
recommend that to be a part of the one page sales sheet, or is that like an innovation sales sheet or whatever line sheet of its own?
Yeah, I think it will depend on who you're selling to. Like I think like boutiques or smaller, stores, they kind of give a little bit more personalization in terms of how to set up your display for your products. For retail, they pretty much like kind of have their own set of how they want to display things. Now, if you do have box cardboard information, I would definitely, put almost like a what is it? Like an imagery of how it would look on the shelf so they can see all of it together and then kind of call out, hey, this is our, packaging a cardboard. It kind of pulls out and they can kind of grab it from there. You're mentioning that as they look at it on the retail shelf as an add-on to your brand, and pitching for that to be a part of it. But understanding, hey, you as a retailer, I know you have a specific way on how you like to display things. Let's chat about it. Yeah, like at the bottom, display shipper right here, stackable display shipper.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got it. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Thank you.
perfect. Oh, we had two.
I would also say include that in your pitch deck, like the whatever the display is, whether you've built one already or you have like a CAD file of it or you have like a visual of it. It's a good thing to put. So
Got it.
when you do like open call, and because I know that's coming, that is something you just applied for. If you're doing like an open call, you, I often coach to bring your pitch deck as a printout stapled and your line sheet as a separate
Okay.
one, and you leave that with the buyer. So if the
Got it.
technology works, which sometimes it does, you can have it on the screen behind you. If not, it becomes the leave behind. You can bring the
Got it.
display with you, and you can like pitch with the display so that they can see it. But the thing is like, and all of us already forgot how this class started, right? Our memory is trash. So when the buyer leaves the space, they have that piece of paper to come back to, like a bookmark. So I think while this does feel busy, when they have, let's say, if these are, I'll look at the one on the right, which is a snack. If the buyer is looking at their category and they've got 7 snacks, different types of snacks, they're going to occupy a certain part. They would like lay these line sheets out, all 7 of them, and they would be looking at like the assortment. They'd be looking at the pricing. They match the colors. So again, think of this as like this is the leave behind to get to decision, for what they're going to put in store on shelf.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Cool.
All right, y'all, we are at time. And so Ariana is going to put in the chat her office hour link. If you've not scheduled with her, please, please, please do so. The questions that you have, she's super, super available to chit chat with. Also, Kathleen can answer any of these questions. If you want somebody to review your line sheet before you come into Thursday's class next week, you can email that along. Myself, we got a ton of different people that are happy to help with that as well. I want to thank you for being here today, and we'll see you on Tuesday, y'all.